Start recording because a bunch of people asked me to record. So here
Oh
we
yes,
go.
please. I'm sure a lot of people will really like that.
Yeah. All
I
right.
think that
So
I'm happy we got a few people because I know that it's a little bit early for some folks on the West Coast. Like 9 a.m. on a weekend is early,
yeah,
but
yeah, it's a little early, but you know what? I like having the small crowd do the thing. It'll be fun.
yeah.
So just to give a little intro here, just so that the people on the recording can see what's going on. This is just a blank world project. We have Udon Sharp, Cyan Trigger, uh, World Creator Toolkit. Um, and I installed Bakery as well, but that's not necessary. Uh, but the most important thing to install for this is you go to Window, Package Manager, and in here you install ProGrids and um, Probuilder and ProGrids. And sometimes I guess you have to go into Show Preview Packages right here. I didn't have to do that, but Fishy did for some reason. No idea. But Probuilder and ProGrids, that's what we're going to be talking about today. So you installed both of those. So yeah, here we are with the blank project. Um, so to get started, we're going to make ourselves a cube. Oh, actually, Fishy, if you see that number on the top left, this is the ProGrids area up here. I set that to 0.005. Like, really small increments. Um, the idea with that is that having the small increments makes it so that you can make it as it's still going to snap to a grid, but it's such a small grid that you have full control over the whole thing. Um,
Gotcha.
and then what we're going to do is hit. Let me see, where is it? Where is it again? Under Tools, Pro Builder, we're going to hit Pro Builder Window. It's going to open this guy up.
So I have a question really quick. Is anybody else seeing Alien Script on?
Oh, hang on. I will. You know what? I will get us a whatchamacallit, nitro boost real fast. I think
Oh,
Otter.
okay.
I think you're streaming at 720.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what?
it's not beatable.
Let's pause. Yeah, let's pause real fast. I will pay to get us that boost, and then it'll let us stream at 1020.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, it's a 4K screen I'm working on. So 4K scrunched down to 720 is going to be a little crunchy.
You might want to set your
Here,
screen to 1080.
yeah, pause your recording.
I'll just edit it out.
Oh, hey, good morning, Hawk.
Good morning.
Oh, Hawk, hi.
I have literally just rolled out of bed.
Yay! Well, that's okay. We are at a slight delay while I give the server a boost.
So that gives me time to download, install the assets I probably should have installed yesterday.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was about to say that since we have a little pause here. So where do you get Pro Builder?
So it's under Window, Package Manager. It takes a little while for this screen to load, but just type in Pro, and you should see Pro Builder pop up, and then just hit install. You'll also want ProGrids. I just had it there, but Fishy had to hit Advanced and then hit Show Preview Packages, and then it showed up for him. But yeah, so you want Pro Builder and ProGrids. They're both in the Package Manager.
All right, and these both are in Package Manager as is. We don't need to install anything outside of Unity first.
Nope. I did
Bakery
mention a
would
few
need to,
things
but
that you
that's not
install.
required for this class.
Yeah, I mentioned a few things that you install outside of Unity, like Udon Sharp and Cyan Trigger and like Pro TV and stuff like that. But that's just stuff for general world building. It's not actually needed for this thing. But like, if you wanted to upload this to VRC, people generally like to have mirrors and video players and stuff. So it's good to have it in the project. But yeah, it's not needed for right now.
I don't see. So where's ProGrid at?
So if you don't see it, you probably have the same thing Fishy had. On the top, you should see Advanced, and then check. You want to click Show Preview Packages, and then
Oh, right.
should show up.
Got it.
Okay, so Window, Package Manager, Pro, Build and ProGrid.
Yeah, just type in Pro and it'll bring both of them up.
And then the other two, the packages you were using?
It was Cyan Trigger and Udon Sharp. Also, Pro TV. Like I mentioned, it's not necessary for this specific part of it, but you'll want that in order to get the toggleable mirrors and other things like that, if you want.
Okay. Otter, I just sent you a subscription.
What?
It'll
Oh
be
my gosh.
This is the don't worry. It's a month of Nitro, so you should now be able to stream at 1080 once you accept that subscription.
I accepted that subscription, and
Pretty sure it's gonna work.
I'm now streaming at 4K.
Oh, hey, there we go.
Wow,
Awesome.
isn't that fancy? Oh, thank you, Fishy.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Okay, cool. So, let me see. Are you guys
double check your streaming quality one more time.
Yeah, I think your fonts are so small they're getting compression artifacts. So your quality has changed, but I think some of your text is too small for the
it wasn't my
Discord compression
hang on a second.
algorithm.
Okay.
Better.
And I'm gonna stop streaming.
You might just want to go to 1080p for the recording.
Let's try 1080. I'm gonna do 1080 at 15 FPS. Maybe at 15 it's gonna be kinder.
Oh yeah,
that
that's
looks great.
really clear. That's really
That looks
clear.
perfect.
Okay, great. Perfect. All right. So, anyway, so this is the ProGrid section. And this is the Probuilder section. ProGrids is like a plugin for Probuilder. I set this to 0.005 up there. I would recommend something similar just to follow along, but you can change that however. So to get started with this, we're going to just hit Tools. Under Probuilder, you're going to hit Probuilder window.
And hang on, sorry, 1 second. Phantom, can you mute yourself because we're getting a little bit of feedback?
Sorry about
Yep, you're good. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so Probuilder window, that's going to open up this window that you see over here. That's going to be floating for you, but I just dock it up here. But this is all the stuff that we have for Probuilder.
A second here, grab a drink. I'll be back in a minute.
Sure. So the really nice thing about this is that it's very easy to learn because it's very GUI driven. We're gonna learn a few shortcuts, but it's very, very few. So by default, this is gonna be set to cube mode. If you see the little plus here on the new shape, it's gonna be set to cube. So we're just gonna keep it just like that. But later on, we're gonna play with some of the other shapes in here. But for right now, we have it on cube. I'm just going to click new shape. And you can see that spawns in a cube. So there you go. If you're not familiar with navigating the menu like this, you right click and use WASD and you can fly around in the window here. So what I'm going to do, because it likes to spawn this at a completely random place, I'm going to go into the inspector and just zero out the position here just so that we have this at the origin. There we go. Okay. So with Probuilder, this is the neat part here. Okay, so we have our cube and we have all these buttons up here. Do you see that? So we have object selection, vertex selection, edge selection, and face selection. Okay? This is what we're going to use to edit our cube. So let's say we want to make this a floor for a world. I'm going to go into face selection. And you can see now I'm selecting the faces. I can click that top face. You can see that. And if I grab this, we're moving that face up and down and resizing the shape. See that?
Mm-hmm.
So I can then grab this one and pull it way out here. Big old thing. And I could grab that one and pull it out here. So now we have a floor.
Mine is snapping. Is that normal?
Oh, the your grid. Yeah, that thing. Please
Yeah,
tell.
so this number up here, you want to set that to like 0.005, something very low. So that snapping is because you have it at the default 0.1. There's a reason why we have that for now. Like, that'll become obvious later. But, yeah, so that's with the face selection. You just grab stuff, you can change it like this, and you can resize stuff. Going into edge selection, I'm just going to do a thing real quick. I'm going to undo this in a moment. But if I just grab that edge, I can move this. And now I'm changing where that edge is. I can move it up and down. Do all kinds of stuff. I'm going to undo that. But that's the edge selection. And then you have the vertex selection, where you can grab an individual vertex. So this will come into play in a little bit, but you can kind of see, like, you can shape objects like this. It made like a pyramid now. But, okay. Setting that back down. I'm going to show you the first shortcut that we're going to need to know. So I'm going to go back to face selection. Let's say I want to turn this into walls inside of a building, right? So I want to build some walls up. I'm going to go into face selection. I'm going to select the side here. And when I grab this and move it, it just moves it like that, right? But if I hold shift while dragging it, what that's going to do is it's going to create a line right there. See that line? I can let go of shift now, and now that line is just there. I'm going to make this about the thickness of the wall that I want. Okay? So there's that.
Come back.
You can see that's a separate face because I held shift. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I need to select both. If you only select one, you try to move this, it's going to mess it up a little bit. I want to select both of these, hold shift, and pull that out a little bit. I'm just making those the thickness of the wall.
So real quick, when I click new shape up in the top right, make a cube, if I want to make those walls, they always have to be on the outside edge. They can't just come up off of the base platform.
This will come off the base platform.
I apologize. I meant to say the walls need to be extensions off the edges. They can't come up off of the top surface.
So the thing about this building tool is that you have to just really think about the order of operations.
Okay.
So if you want it to just come off the top, what you do is you size it down and then bring it out the way that I showed you.
Gotcha. Okay. That's fine. The order of operations, I will accept as an answer because I understand that software-wise.
Yeah, so with this, if I really wanted this platform to be the size it is right now, I would have built the platform like I did, and then just bring that out to the size I want it to be.
Gotcha.
Right.
But
Sorry, backtracking. How did you get the walls in there off the edge of the platform?
When you select the edge, and you want to have it in this face selection mode right up here, you select the side,
Okay.
and when you hold shift, it's going to create a barrier between two different shapes here.
Okay.
That's all that's going to do. And you can see where those lines are. It's all broken up like that. Okay. So everyone on board with that, I think?
Yeah.
Just a real quick question. So when I press WAS now, it turns the options on and off on the sidebar.
You have to be holding right click when you're doing WASD.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay. So, let me show you this now. So let's say I want to make this a wall. If I were to just grab it like this and move it up, you're going to see it's going to distort everything around it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is not what we want. Sometimes that is what we want. In this case, that's not what we want. Don't follow along quite yet because I'm not going to do it this way in a moment. But just as an example, if I grab that now, it's going to distort it. If I hold shift, holding shift, that just brings it up. It doesn't distort the stuff around it. It makes it extrude directly. But what I want to do is I want to make it so that we have all of the walls. So I'm going to hold shift while clicking all of these other ones here. Get everything selected like that. And if I hold shift and bring this up, that's going to create walls. See that?
Mm-hmm.
And then if I wanted to, I don't know, in my little demo world, I made it so like I had little pedestal things coming up. I can select those 4 corners. Again, hold shift and bring that up, and now I can create that.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. So if you just select the face and move it, it's going to distort the stuff around it. If you hold shift, then it's going to extrude from that. So I've created this thing. How do you guys feel about that? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So, let's say I want to make a ceiling on this, right? Let's make a ceiling. I want to do that. I want to make a ceiling. So what I'm going to do is, and a lot of this process is just problem solving. How do I solve the problem that is in front of me? And there is no correct answer. It's really just, what makes sense to you. So I undid the little poles that I just created. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select these 3 top faces here. Because this is just what makes sense to me, to how I would do this. So I select those. I'm going to hold shift, bring it up, make it about the same thickness the walls were. Now I have this little extra bit here. I'm now going to select these. Just like that. And if I hold shift and drag it out, now I have a ceiling. Now, this is where we're going to notice that the Pro Grids is really great, because when I put this out, I can make that line up perfectly with this. If Pro Grids wasn't installed, this would be impossible to get this just right. See that?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty fancy. And then I can make those little sticks again. I think I'm going to go back to that because I want to do something with that in a bit. Actually, what I'm going to do is, just to make it match up with the thing I had before, I'm going to bring it back to where this was. See where it's lined up with this? And I'm going to hold shift and bring that back out. Now I have the thing lined up. Come on, Pro Grids. Work with me here. There. Okay. Now it's all matched up. And I'm going to make those sticks again, because we're gonna do something with that. There we go. Perfect. All right. Any questions? No. Okay, great. So, I'm going to move on to a more complex thing now. A little bit more of a complex option here that we have. I want to cut a hole into this shape. Okay? Now, in order to make a hole, there are a few ways to do that, but I found that there's one way that works very well for me. And just to make it easy to follow, I'm going to try to follow this square right here. I'm going to try to cut a 1 meter by 1 meter hole right there, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a edge. So I'm going into edge mode, and I'm going to select an edge right here. It could be any of these 4, but I'm just going to select this one. And over on the right side, you'll actually see that these tools change based on which mode we're in. So in edge selection, I'm selecting this one. I'm going to hit Insert Edge Loop. And that's going to put a cut all the way through the whole model. And since I mentioned I'm going to try to cut a hole on that square, I'm going to bring this edge right out to here. So notice how I can move the whole edge right now.
So you're subdividing essentially.
Basically, yeah. This is kind of a subdivision. It's a specific type of subdivision.
Gotcha.
I'm going to select this edge again, and I'm going to hit the same button, insert edge loop, bring that over to that side of it. So we have that.
I'm sorry,
then-
where was the create edge loop? Wait, there it's under red.
Yeah, it's under the red section. And I'm just going to go over to this side as well and do the same thing here. I'm just inserting edge loops so that you can see I've now surrounded this corner so that I can now select that square.
Is there a reason why it always launches the edge perpendicular to the one that you picked?
Yeah, because the edge loop that you're putting in is like you're telling it where the start location is, and it's going to cut 90 degrees from that.
Okay.
Because we did it with an edge loop, by the way, that went all the way through the whole model, which means that we should have the same thing on the bottom side as well, which I don't. Why do I not have? Oh, it's this one, isn't it? Is that the one that it... No, I don't. Okay, well, I'll just add another edge loop in. Hold on. Insert edge loop. My goal here is just to surround this, this square right here, so that it's selectable. Because we're going to punch a hole through here. Okay. So, everyone happy with that?
Mhm.
So when I do the edge loop, it's taking the corner of one the divided line. Do I want that? So
I'm not sure what you mean. Do you want to share the
So-
screen?
yeah.
Okay. I see the thing you have here.
Yeah, it's out of scale because I was not following along fast enough. But so see when I select this edge,
Mm-hmm.
do I have to hold down Shift? Is that what I need to do, or
Oh no, just select one edge. And then you hit insert edge loop. And it'll make a cut straight down the middle of that.
okay? I got it. I see.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of backwards anyway. Okay.
It's, the thing about it is that really, like, it's all about just playing with the tool and figuring out how it works. This took me about an hour or two of just hitting the buttons and just going, oh, okay, I see, that tool does that thing, okay. And it's just, you just practice it, and it's all about, like, just very simple, like, problem solving. Like, if I want this end result, how do the tools given to me make that result happen? So, anyway, now that we have this, I mentioned before that we can hold Shift. I'm in face selection mode, by the way. I can hold Shift and extrude that out. I can also extrude that in. I can punch it down. Now, because of ProGrids, I can make this line up with the thing I have on the inside here, like that. I can make it line up, which is exactly what I want it to do. So, you can see how I can bring that down. It lines up with the thing that's here, and what I can do is hit backspace, and that's going to delete that face. I can select the one on the bottom, hit backspace there, and look at that.
Ah.
We have a hole. But this is not a very good hole. This is a bad hole because the things here are not actually connected. As far as Unity is concerned, these are two separate things that exist in a different place, and we're going to have problems with lighting because the light won't understand it. Everything's going to be wrong, but we can fix that. We're going to hop into vertice mode right here. And if I go in, you can actually see there are two separate vertices right here. We don't want that. We want that to be one vertice. So, in vertice mode, if I select two vertices that are very close to each other, I can go over onto the right side, and there's an option in the red section saying weld vertices. I can weld those. I can come over here, select those two, I can weld. And I'm just going to go to all four of these. Sometimes it's a little temperamental about selecting them. Let me see.
Cool.
There we go. If I offset it a tiny bit, it'll let me weld it. There we go. So we've turned our bad hole into a good hole. Because now it's all connected. It's not going to show connected sometimes originally, but like once the model updates, it fixes itself, I've noticed. Because this is one thing now. If I select
I'm
this...
only seeing one vertice.
I had to make one of the vertices pop up a tiny bit. Like just select it, move it up just like one little unit, and then it selects it. It doesn't seem to like to select both of them if they're on top of each other.
Yeah, I didn't have any issues when I used the like a broad selection tool, like to enclose everything. Then I knew it always got it, and it would just not show me the option for weld vertices if there's only one of them.
Yeah, so that's why I just offset one of them, and then that broad selection let me select both. Yeah. Oh, there we go. See, the model, like I mentioned, I didn't change anything, but before there was a hole in this, and now there isn't. So the model updated itself, and now it's...
What's the broad selection Unity?
Just click and drag.
Click and drag.
Okay, I was making it too complicated. Got it.
So yeah, so we have our this is really good for making you know, a hole through the floor, or if you want to do something like windows on the wall, that's the same process. Sometimes doing the edge loop thing causes a lot of issues because you're cutting all the way through the entire model. What you can do instead is let's punch a hole through this wall over here. Let's say I don't want to cut an edge all the way through the entire thing just to make a window on this side. What I can do is I can select that. I said edge. I should have said face. Select that face, and up here in the options we can. There's an option for, where is it? I'm looking for it. Give me just a second. We want to pop it out. Where is it? For some reason I'm not finding it. There's an option to separate this face somewhere. I see merge face. Oh, detach faces. There it is. Jesus. It's in the red section. Detach faces. So I'm going to do it on that one, and then I'm going to do it on the opposite wall as well. I'm going to select that and hit detach faces. So let's say we want to put a window in here, right? This is again where ProGrids is going to come in handy. So now that this is separated, you'll notice that if I go into object selection mode, this is its own object now. So if I move that, it's totally its own thing. We're going to merge it back together later, but for right now, it's going to be its own object. Both sides are going to be their own object. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to, like, what I'm going to show you in a second is like a technique that I found that works, but you might find a better technique, and if you do, let me know. But this is what I found works really well for this. So I'm going to select the edge here. I'm going to hit insert edge loop. Wait, didn't do it. Why did it not do it? Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to work on this with it separated out. So I'm going to make this... Oh, that's why it was selecting the wrong one. Weird. Sorry, give me a second. I need this one. There we go. I'm going to move this out, and I'm just going to make it, like, in the inspector. Why is that? I'm not getting any updates here. Okay, fuck it. I'm gonna sorry, I'm trying to figure out a thing. It's being annoying. It wants to select the wrong object, it seems. And try this again. Why? I'm so sorry. Okay, look, this is the issue I'm having right now. In the inspector, you see I have this selected. It's its own thing. When I move it out, the numbers aren't changing on the position. I don't understand why. Oh, okay, it changes if I do it manually with this. Okay, alright. I'm going to set that to -1 just so that I can see it separately. Sorry, does that make sense? Do you see what I did there?
No.
I'm
Can you
I'm
do
so
that
sorry.
again? What
Let me do it again.
Okay,
I'm gonna start from scratch.
It's okay. Can you explain what the object? Because I think we're just making a door, right? But your goal was to instead isolate a face and pull it off.
Yes.
And then repair the damage caused by ripping the face off?
Yes. So I'm going to rip the face off, and I'm going to repair that damage. So
okay.
These faces are separated. They're totally separate objects now. I did that by I undid a bunch of stuff, so I'm starting over with this. Now I figured it out. So I selected the face. I went to Probuilder. I typed it, or I hit detach face.
Detach faces. Yep.
I did the same thing on this side. I hit detach face. So now I have two separate objects. You'll actually see up here I have cube and then cube 1 and 2. Those are those two faces I just detached. So just to work with this... Oh, now I understand why it wasn't working. Oh my god. I was in face select mode. To move the object, you have to go to object select mode. That's why it wasn't changing the number.
Got it.
Okay. So see this on the top? I'm going into object select mode, and I'm going to move this out. Like that.
Okay.
And I'm just going to put that to -1. This is just so that I can have it separated so I don't have vertices on top of other vertices. Like, I know which one I'm selecting. I'm just going to move it out here. Again, in object mode, move the face out. I'm making it -1, so it's really easy to just put it back exactly where it was. Okay. Going into edge select mode, I should be able to... Oh, actually... Yeah. You know what I'm gonna do? Instead of doing the thing to insert that, what I'm gonna do is there's a subdivide option. I'll use that. Subdivide faces. Nope, never mind. That broke it. Okay. This is not behaving for me. What about inserting an edge loop like that? No. Okay, so for some reason this just isn't working for me. I'm trying to insert the edge loops and it's just not doing it.
How about, even though you can't seem to get it right now, can you tell us what the end goal was and why we would want to do this?
Yeah, let me tell you the end goal. So the end goal is that you create edge loops through here, you line them up, And the idea with this is that using Probuilder, ProGrids, you're able to line up the edges, and you can punch the hole through just like we did over here. That's how I did all my windows in my house world. And by separating the faces, you're not setting an edge loop all the way through the entire structure. You're just sending it through this one thing. And when you're done with that, you can put everything back in place and then weld the vertices again over here. You weld all those, and now you have a hole through the thing. Again, I don't know why that none of the things are working. I'll need to play with that. This always worked for me in the past, but now it's not. Bleh.
Question on selecting edge loops. I accidentally created a spare edge loop sometime back. I can't just Control Z it. How do I dissolve edges?
Oh, so there is an option. Let's say I'm really happy with this floor right here, and I don't ever plan on changing it ever again. I can select all these faces, and I can hit where is it? Merge faces right here in the red. Now, that's all one thing.
Yeah.
That does not want to come apart again. I would recommend not doing that until the end of the project, though, because sometimes you do want to add another thing in, and now you're kind of screwed, because now you're missing all the edges. But that's something you can do. Again, that's like more toward the end of the project you'd want to do that. Okay, anyway, let's move on to the next thing. I'm so sorry I couldn't figure that out. I'll have to play with it. But let's see, what do we want to build next? Let's build trying to think. Let's see if we have some ideas. I'm gonna poll the room. What do we want to do with this little build here? What do we want to build up here? We'll come up with a thing. Do we want a roof on the gazebo? Maybe.
How about if we just add a bench or something to this, which I'm assuming would be a separate object, right?
Yeah, so let's do a bench. So we're gonna do a new shape. It's gonna start out as a cube. I'm happy with a cube. In object select mode, we're gonna move this up like that. So this is gonna be our bench. So a bench is gonna be two sides that are for the feet, and then a bunch of slats in the middle, right? So that should be pretty easy to do. So let's go into face select, and I'm just gonna kind of imagine what a bench should look like. I'm going to subdivide the object. That's that button over here for subdivide, just so we have some more vertices and stuff to work with. And let me think. I think if I were to make it the side of a bench, firstly it would be kind of thin. So let's make it a little thinner. Like that. And
hang on. Hang on. I'm going to share this real fast because I tried doing subdivide faces just for curiosity's sake, and I ended up with a side that now has a radial selection of subdivisions. You
should be in. I think that's what happens if you're in face mode and then you hit subdivide. I was in object mode when I subdivided.
Okay.
Try going into object mode.
Yes. Subdividing the object rather than the face will result in a uniform subdivision across the entire thing.
That makes sense. So, if I'm just going to imagine what the side of a bench looks like, I would imagine that I would probably have... I'm going to select those two there. I went into edge select. This will probably be right about there. I'm going to select these two edges. This is entirely up to you on how this is going to look, but just kind of moving this around so that, yeah. That looks like a bench, right? face select. Move over here. What do you think? Is that a bench? Is that at the side of a bench? I think maybe this would go in a little bit. So I can hit, I can click this, any one of these in edge select, and I should hit insert edge loop. And that's going to bring, it's going to cut all the way through like that. And this, I would imagine, would go in like so. It's a very Art Deco kind of bench. I'll insert another edge loop. Here we go. Right? What do you think of that? How do you feel?
That's a very fancy bench.
It's a great bench.
Okay, I'm going to ask a question because I have a slightly different workflow related concern. I'm going to share my screen real fast if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I have my objects, which I have subdivided 3 times. If I wanted to carve out the shape of the bench and then extrude it sideways, what's the best way to go about doing that? Or is that just not possible with this system? Because I was thinking, you know what I could do? I could arrange these to a point that they're in like a general shape of what I wanted to create and then remove or merge those vertices so that I could get like a curve. But when I looked at it like this, I realized that I was actually dragging it in multiple axes. Like it's not just on this plane.
I saw that on the second one, you selected the wrong plane in the tool.
Oh, okay. Hang on. So here we go. I got this.
Yeah, make sure you only use the red plane there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
So if I want to do this number, I should be able to go back in and say, what, clear vertice?
That's a really interesting way to do it. Yeah. This is definitely possible. Make the bench shape like that. I know exactly how you would go from there. I did it in a different way. I did it where I was working around the outside of it.
Mm-hmm.
But that method will work. It's just going to be a different solution. To do the thing. But
okay, so if so let's just say I do want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. How do I? So first of all, if I select these vertices here, do I? How do I get rid of them?
So where is your bench right now?
This whole form right here.
Okay, go into face select.
Okay.
Select the faces that are going to be your bench.
Okay.
Cool. Now hold shift
and
drag that red arrow out. Yep. And now what you can do is you can select just the faces that you want. So that would be all of the ones, like the ones on the side that you have there, and then the ones around it, like the ones that are part of your bench. So select those faces, hold shift and click those faces.
These faces?
Mm-hmm. You want to be holding shift. Yeah, also the ones on the outside.
Here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Get the ones on the outside as well.
Oh, this here?
Yep. Get all those faces.
Oops, I might have moved it a little bit.
Yeah, and now we should be able to hit detach faces up on there. Click that. There we go. Now it's its own object.
Oh, okay.
And now what you do, you want to go into edge select mode. Select all the edges where there's that hole. That's vertice select. Go to edge select. Yep. And select all the edges where the hole is.
Okay. Wait a minute. Ooh.
You might have to do it manually.
Well, okay.
It's not that many. Yeah. And now there should be an option for fill hole. Yeah, it's in the red
Fill
section.
hole.
There it is. Yep. You got
Ah!
it. Here you go.
Okay,
So
all right.
You're doing a very different style of bench. I'm doing this. I'm actually happy with how this is shaped.
Mhm.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. I have cube 3 here. I'm going to hit Control D. That's going to duplicate that. Now I have 2 like that. So I'm building this style of bench.
Mhm.
Okay? So I've got that. I'm happy with that. Now what I'm going to do is hit New Shape. I'm going to bring in another cube. I'm going to bring that in. And I'm just going to go into Face Select. Bring that down. Bring this in. And I'm going to make slats. So I think my slats are going to be like that. That's pretty good. So go into... Oh, let me just show you this thing real quick. This is annoying. If you have a shape like this, you'll notice that the tool is in the wrong place. And that's really frustrating. What it's doing is it's following where it originally was before I made the transforms. What I can do is with that cube selected, I can hit Control D, make a new copy. That's going to reset the tool location. And I can just delete the old one like that. So that's how I reset the tool. I don't know if there's a better way to do that, but that's what seems to work for me. Okay, so if I were to make this a bench, I would have this like this. Go into face mode. Select that. Bring this out. There we go. And make it stick out a little bit. I also want to put a little bit of rotation on it because you can see I made this slightly tilted forward. So if go back into object mode. So let me just show you some. These are shortcuts that you just really should just know. W is for this tool right here. E is for rotation. You can see that tool here I have like that. E is for rotation. R is for scaling. So W-E-R. Memorize that set of tools because you will want to use those a lot. So putting that back in there, I'm going to hit E for rotation and just rotate it a tiny bit like that. And then I can just duplicate, go back into W, bring that forward, duplicate. That's Control D to duplicate. Sorry if I didn't mention that. Like that. There we go. And tilt that a little bit more. And then do the same thing again. Control D. Move this up and over here. E to rotate. But you can see I have now created a bench. Isn't that fun?
Cool.
Isn't that cool?
Actually, looks really good.
Yeah.
Now, how do you merge all of those together as a single object, or do you have to now have them as a cluster of cubes?
So what you can do is, let's say I want it all to be under this cube 3. I can just grab all these and move it under that. So now, if I grab cube 3, that will move the whole thing. You can create an empty game object to do that. What you can also do is you can select all of them, and I believe there's a thing over here for, merge objects there. I'm not going to merge objects yet. Instead, what I'm going to do, I'm going to merge these 2, and I'm going to merge these 6. But yeah, in Probuilder, you can merge them all. So now that's one object.
I was going to ask, because when it comes to UV mapping that stuff, I know it's probably got to be a single mesh.
Yeah, so interestingly, that's actually the next thing I was going to talk about is setting up materials. So let's set up some materials for this so it's not just so it doesn't look like this. So I'm going to just go down here. I'm going to hit create, right click down here.
Before you do, because I actually would like to be able to catch up to try to make a similar looking bench. I don't know how are you guys all following along closely with that particular bench with the multiple objects?
Yeah, if you guys have questions, please ask.
I just want to sling together something that has multiple meshes like what you have, so that I can follow along.
Yeah,
So
throw
if
it
you
all
can give
together.
me like 2 seconds, that'd be amazing.
I am not in a rush. I'm gonna play around with some materials.
I'm still kind of stuck on subdividing it correctly to get.
Let me just put this here. Here we go. Okay, who said they're stuck on something?
No, so I'm sort of trying to. So I was building it. I was kind of missing how you were subdividing the object to make it, to be able to grab that, to make that many facets to it.
Oh,
the base object, the stand.
Share the screen. We can walk through it.
Yeah, 1 second. So I mean, I obviously, you can sub. Oops, where'd it go? So obviously, there's a subdivide object here.
Yep.
And that's what we want to grab. We want to do that. But if I grab, I was kind of missing how then you were kind of shaping that into.
So what I was using was the edge select tool. That's the third one. Yeah. So I would select those two just like that, exactly, just like that. And I just used that to kind of shape.
How do you do these inner edges though, on both sides?
What do you mean?
I'm not sure how I'm explaining it right. So if I bring that edge down into the other subdivisions, then it goes through those subdivisions. I want to move the other subdivision. I want to move the other bits down.
Just select those parts and then move them down. Like further down than that. Yeah, you can't have them intersect each other.
But do I have to select then both sides by hand?
Yes. This is where we have problems with this is the sort of thing where in Blender there's a shortcut to select the entire edge loop and all this sort of stuff.
Right. But there's like an edge that's inside the object though. How do I select that?
Control Z. Control Z those. Along with selecting those two, select the two on that outside edge as well. Now move that down.
Ah, got it. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, you got it.
I keep hitting arrow instead of my talk. And then, but on this one though, I can't select that out. It's like if I wanted to move that one down.
Which one?
See, like I have like an inner. So if I want to move this one down, wouldn't that on the inside then not? I guess not. Okay, I'm sorry. I was just still kind of to figure this out.
Yeah, you're good. It's
okay.
A lot of this stuff is just playing with the tools and figuring out what works best.
Right.
The method that I'm using, you're going to end up with a lot of very blocky looking things.
Mm-hmm.
You can make it look less blocky. I can do things like select the edge like this and, make it a little bit rounded and stuff. But Probuilder is not meant for super complex modeling. It's meant for getting the basics down. If you, I don't know if you went to my house, my house world, but Probuilder was the thing I used to make the house itself. And then the rest was all stuff I found on the Unity Asset Store. But yeah, everything you make in this is going to look a little blocky unless you just spend like a lot of time with it.
It's not the blogging. It's just I'm just getting kind of wrapping my head around how you select like inner and outer bits of the mesh of the object. So
Yeah. I'm pretty happy with that bench, actually. That's a pretty nice little bench. Make it big bench.
Like, this is going to be a massive time saver for me when it comes to doing just like, I need a room to put something in, and I don't want to go into Blender and model a box and make it an FBX and then import it as a separate object.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this is great, especially for just building basic shapes, like basic setups and stuff. Like, this is fantastic, being able to do it directly in Unity. And like you saw with that, you can set different materials to different things. This has a UV editor thing in it as well, which I'll show you in a second. So if you want to like make a picture show up on a wall or something, you can do that with this. So Fishy, how you doing with that? You were working on this guy?
If everybody's ready to go ahead, go for it. I'm struggling a little bit, but it's just because I'm not familiar with the tool. I would say keep going if everybody says keep going, for sure.
Okay, well, what I'd like to do... I realized why I was having issues with the thing before, and I would like to just show how to do this properly again. I want to cut a hole into this. I want to use that other method I mentioned. The reason it didn't work before was because I had these other subdivisions going on. I'm going to start with a blank one just to show how the process works. So I want to show you how to cut a hole through this cube. Doing it a little bit of a nastier way than the first one that we did, but this is the way that works in some situations when this one doesn't work, if that makes sense. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to separate this face right here. This is just a regular cube right now. There's nothing special going on. I'm going to detach that face, and I'm going to detach this face over here. So now I have two separate faces. I want to subdivide this face. I think I want to do that in object mode, I believe. Yeah, subdivide the face. There we go. It's doing the thing. I'm going to subdivide again. So now I have a whole bunch of stuff. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So I'm just showing how to get this method working. So, and I'm actually going to make it a little bit messier than this. I'm going to intentionally make this messy. Right now it would be very easy to do, but I want to make it messy just so that you can see how to make this work. I want to cut a hole that's this shape right here, this little edge right here. That looks awful, doesn't it? But let's just do it anyway. So I want to cut a hole like that through the whole object. I'm going to select this. I'm going to hold shift, because if I didn't hold shift, it's going to deform the whole thing like that. If I hold shift, it's going to cut a hole through like this. Now, this is the part I was getting at. If I bring it all the way through like this, you can actually see it coming out the other side. Now using this, I can make these vertices, and this is where ProGrids is really helping. I can go into vertices select mode, or vertex select, and match what's going on here. So I can match this vertex to that vertex, match this one to here, and you can see it's snapping into place the way I want it to, which is great. All these just snap right onto where the other one is. There is... Oh, I see. Yep. So this is a very messy looking cut, but that's the point. So there we go. I've matched that. See how I've matched those vertices? Now, what I can do is I can go back over here, select this face. There are 4 faces, that's right. Move this back in, line this up, and hit backspace to delete those. I'm going to do the same here. And now you see I've been able to punch a hole through this with this weird configuration. And what I need to do is merge these 2 objects now. So I need to merge those. So selecting both of those in object select mode, I hit merge. There we go. I think these faces flipped. Oh, just the UV didn't understand. That's fine. That's fine. Okay.
Hey, Fishy, quick heads up. If you're planning to do FC this year, the hotel drawer just opened.
Oh, nah, I'm good.
And I'm going to go around and just weld every 2 vertices here. I'm getting that same problem I did before. Since the vertices are on top of each other, this won't select both of them. Oh, that time it did. Ah, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But I'm just going around and welding all those vertices like
so
that.
A question on the welding of the vertices. I know that in Blender it has an order of precedence. Like if you select the first vertice and the second vertice, you can tell it to what direction you want to weld it in. Is Unity doing something similar, or is it just literally doing proximity?
It's doing proximity, but because of ProGrids, it's doing it on the grid.
It's snapping it to the nearest grid point.
Yeah.
So if you were to grab 2 wildly far away points, it would merge it into the most center grid point?
It actually won't let you. That option will be grayed out. They have to be relatively close to each other.
Okay.
But yeah, now I have these 2 objects. I can select both of them, hit merge objects, and now it's 1 object now. And I've cut that weird hole into it. This is all I was trying to get at before. I apologize for the confusion earlier, but it's good to be able to cut holes into objects. So I have an idea for a thing we can make. Unless you guys have questions or anything, we can do questions and things like that. But if you're up for it, I was thinking we could model a light fixture. I'm gonna make this gray. Sounds like people are busy working on stuff, so I'm just gonna let you play with that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I am flailing around like a kid who doesn't know how to use his arms yet. Like I'm just knocking glitter over. There's glue on everything.
That's fine. That is fine.
So ProGrid is very good with cubes and straight lines. What's it do when you try to do something with like a sphere?
See, that's going to be later on. We're going to work on some of that. Remember that thing where we had the new shape?
Yeah.
We actually have a lot of shapes to choose. but we're not quite there yet.
All right.
I do have a question while you're kind of working on that. Back to so I've got a basic bench structure at this point. When it came to merging all the objects together, you just literally select it all and just click merge objects. That's it.
So I selected all the slats and hit merge, and then I selected these two and hit merge. But yeah, that's it.
Okay, and that was just so you could do easier material dropping, right?
Yeah, and what I can do is I can, like, it was like this, where I have cube 3, which is the sides of it, and cube 11, which is this. And you can just drag cube 11 into cube 3. And now if I select cube 3 and move it, it all stays together. You're, like, parenting and childing it like that.
Gotcha.
It's a good idea to name these. This might be bench, and then this might be bench slats or whatever, but... And I've just made some basic materials with a with an albedo that's just like a color, just to make it look a little nicer. Just drag those on. I'm going to start working on a square for a picture frame. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes. Could you please do a picture frame and then show how to attach an image to the picture frame?
Yes. I would love to. Okay, so I'm going to hop in to the new shape thing. We have our new shape. This will be our picture frame. So, what I can do is I will do the face select and move this in so that, you know, picture frames tend to be a little 2D like that. Yeah, that looks good. Now what I'm going to do is go into object mode and hit subdivide. And subdivide again. There we go. Now, I'm going to make it so that my picture frame is the 4 center pieces here, but I'd like to make this a little bit bigger. So I'm going to select all these. Here's a thing to know. You can select the vertices or the faces or anything like that, and you can actually go into the scaling tool directly like this. So you can just go into the scaling tool. I have those vertices selected, and I can scale out like that and scale up like this. Doesn't like it when I go too far. I'll just... Why is that? Hold on. What are you intersecting with? Oh, I see. Hold on. I need to... I need to move these ones up. Alright, that's fine. I can do that.
Explain what you're doing.
So, I'm selecting these first. I'm going to do it on the other side so you can see. I want my picture frame to be the 4 pieces in the middle, but I want it to not have that big of a bevel.
I have an immediate question. When you do your selections of your edges, every time I click one, it centers the focusing, like the scaling / rotation tool, directly on the last clicked objects, and yours is doing kind of a center of mass like location. Like yours is floating in the middle of everything you selected.
Oh, that would be this button up here, center. Or pivot.
Center.
You might have that set to pivot.
It is set to pivot. Okay.
Ah, yeah, so hit that, make that center. And also make sure this one is local. So center and local.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So I'm going to just make this bigger. So I selected all those edges of the things I want to make bigger. I'm gonna hit R. Now, if you select this one in the middle, that's gonna make it bigger on all axes. I just want these 2 axes. So I'm gonna grab the blue one, move it out like that. I'm gonna grab the green one, move it up like this, and try to make it look about right. Yeah, that's about right. Now for this, you see it caused this issue, which I didn't expect, but I think I know how to fix it. I can go in here. Do you see how I'm going into the side here? I think what I need to do is just select this and move it down. Yeah, that fixed it. It doesn't like being above that for some reason. Yeah, whatever. It's fine. So I'm just going in here, selecting all these. Come here. Deselect those ones. No. I don't want... the tool is in the way of it. Oh, there we go. If I start from that side. There we go. See how that worked? So, what we can do here... let me know when you get to this point where it's like that. Before I move on to the next part. You can see where my picture frame's going to be. And let me go on to my thing here. I'm gonna pick a picture.
Is there a way to merge edges? Like, cause I was trying to figure out a different way around the problem you had with those black triangles up in the corner. And I tried merging the faces of the 4 subdivided sections on the sides of the picture frame, but that didn't resolve it because the edges that are causing the problem are on the side that we're rescaling stuff, and the line on the left and right and top and bottom most edges of the object are actually 4 tiny edges, not 1. Is there a way to select those edges and merge them together?
I've never
Probably not,
done a
but
merge edge. Is that an... I don't know if that's an option.
I don't think it is.
I don't think it is. I wouldn't worry too much about it because a lot of this stuff is going to get deleted later. I found that just in terms of doing the work on the models, like while you're doing it, generally don't worry too much about having too many pieces of geometry and stuff while you're building it, because you want to decimate that later. Like when it's done, that's when you want to start working on decimating it.
So you can create a mess and clean it up at the end.
Exactly. Yeah. That seems to be the best way to do it. Now, another way you could have done this is, instead of just subdividing the entire thing, you could have just selected these edges here and just done, insert edge loop over and over, so that it's only cutting up this part. But I went with the easier route and just subdivided the whole thing because I'm planning on deleting this later. But the thing is that there's no right way to do it. It's entirely however you feel makes the most sense. For me, this makes sense because I just know in my brain hole that I'm gonna delete most of this later.
Okay.
So I'm finding a picture. What picture do I want to use?
Ottar.
Got it. Ottar it is. There he is. Got him. And what do I want the side of the picture frame to be? I'll make it wood grain. Yeah, let's make it wood grain. That looks great.
Have you gone to textures.com, by the way?
I have. It's really good.
Yes, I recommend that to anybody here who's making objects that doesn't want to go through the rigmarole of trying to make something themselves. They allow you a certain number of free downloads per day. And the ones that you get as the free downloads are very high resolution. The ones that you can't get as free downloads, or like medium or what have you, are still usually good enough for most projects. We're not doing this as a crazy high resolution item, but
Yeah.
they allow you to look through all the textures based on material type, like concrete, moss, stone, wood, and there's a huge amount of options. So if you're ever curious, you can actually search by tileable as well.
Oh. Fancy.
Yes. But by the way, for those who are interested on a quick side topic, Redro is actually working with the utility that creates tileable textures dynamically in Blender. So if you are really, really in the mood for learning how to do super fancy textures for yourself, Redro is the one you want to go talk to.
Okay. That's good to know. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, is everybody ready?
Is everyone ready for the next step? Because we can move on to the next part where we're actually putting stuff together here.
I think so.
Yeah, go
Okay.
for it.
So, I just found a wood texture online. I just typed in wood texture, and I found that. Looks fine. I made a new material called wood, and I will go into the inspector and throw that into the albedo. There we go. Now I have a wood texture. And in object select mode, I'm just going to drag that onto the picture frame. Just like that. So now I have a wood texture. I turn the smoothness down. There we go. Now, so in object mode, if you throw the texture on like that, that's just going to throw it on as is. But, let me change this as well. I have my aught-tar. Throw that into the albedo. There we go. So there's my photo for that. If I go into face select mode, I can actually select these faces like that and throw the material onto this.
Whoa, no way.
Yeah. It's going to be poorly scaled because the picture wasn't originally a square, but we will be able to fix that. But yeah, if you just select all the stuff that you want it to be on and drag that material on, it'll just pop in place, just like that.
How is it carrying two materials on a single object?
Because it's looking at it, like, when I selected the faces and did that thing, it created it, like, you can actually see over here, it has two materials in the slots there.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yep. So, what I want to do now is, with all that selected, in Probuilder, there's a thing right at the top, it's in the orange section, called UV Editor. I'm going to click on that. And that's going to bring up this window right here. See that? So this is all auto-generated. It's not going to be terribly pretty. But our options here are largely the same. I can hit W and be able to move it. Just like I did with the previous thing. I can hit E or R to scale it. Like so. So like our selection tools are still the same in the UV editor as they are in normal Unity. But I can scale this so it's about the right proportions, and I can move it around.
Sorry, where's that tool at? I only just got to where you're at.
It is in Probuilder. Once you have the picture that you want in the thing, you can hit UV editor. It's in the orange section. And now I have this window up, and I'm able to move this around. You can kind of see how this is changing the thing here. And I'm able to just change the scaling of it by hitting R. I can change how it's working with this. And actually, I will make it so that it's the entire thing, because Ottar wants to be long. It takes a while to like figure this out, honestly, like to feel comfortable using this menu, but it does kind of start to make sense once you just play with it for a while. Basically, you're looking at a UV like unwrapped version of the object, and it's going to tile itself all over the place.
I see there's a fill mode where you can change whether it's tiling or not. Is it only going to do it for that one material, or is it going to do it for both?
This is going to do it for both.
Okay.
So if you want it to work separately, you'll have to separate the objects. Hi, kitty. And just to make this look right, I'm going to do that. There we go. I got a little picture frame now.
Oh.
Oh, and like I mentioned, I'm going to actually delete the majority of this, because a picture frame, since it's going to be on the wall, is not going to have... I don't need a backside to it at all, so I'm just going to select everything real quick. Everything I want to keep. This might actually break the UV, but I can go back in and fix it again. Yep, there we go. Oh. There we go. I'm pretty happy with my picture frame.
Mm-hmm.
He's cute. So how do you guys feel about that? What are you thinking?
Good. I'm happy to see something where you can apply a texture to it, like as just a face image.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of problems when you
Yeah.
try to apply a material and it's just like sliding all over the place and not mapped properly. So thank you for showing that in particular.
Yeah, the UV editor, I found it was surprisingly easy to work with. Once you kind of figure out how the tool works.
I am genuinely curious and excited to potentially use this to create a couple of kind of like analyzing plates where instead of the material being aught tar, it is the wireframe shader or
oh yeah, you can put any shader you want on
any
these.
because it's just a material. That's all it is.
Yeah. So yeah, we have our little demos here. Next thing I want to show you, because we mentioned this earlier, was other shapes. So this is a problem that I was trying to solve just yesterday, where I was saying, okay, I want a star. I want a star shape. And this is where you just get into just some problem solving of like, how do I create a star shape using Probuilder without having to just manually do all the things. I want to make it so it properly, has all of its dimensions. I'm going to make a star material because I'm going to do this next. So how do I do that? So I was thinking about it, and I realized that a star is basically just a cylinder with, what is it? Hold on, let me count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sides. It's a cylinder with 10 sides that's deformed, right? That makes sense. So if I want to make a 10-sided cylinder, sorry, I'm just getting the emission in. There we go. Okay, that's going to be my material for the star. So I'm going to make a 10-sided cylinder. So let's hop over to Probuilder. I'm going to hit a new shape. I'm going to hit the plus button. You can see that changes the options here. Or it gives me the options over here. I'm going to change this to cylinder. And you can see I was already playing with this earlier. So it's already set to 10 sides. I think it defaults to 8. But you can drag this and make it anything you want. But I'm going to make it a 10-sided cylinder. Like that. I'm happy with that. I'm going to hit build. There we go. So I've got my 10-sided cylinder. I'm going to turn this into a star. So what I'm going to do is select the edges over here. I'm going to select every other edge and pull them inward. There we go. So I've got my 10-sided cylinder. There's the thing. I'm going to hit R to scale. I'm going to grab that center one and just pull it in.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Whoa. Do that again.
Okay. So I've got a 10-sided cylinder, right?
Uh-huh.
And I figured that just because I counted the sides of the star. There's the top of the star. It comes in, goes out again, goes in, goes out, in, out, like that. And I figured if I just had a 10-sided cylinder and deformed it, I should be able to turn that into a star. So if I select every other one on the sides, like so, I should be able to just pull those inward and that'll turn into a star shape. Like that. Right? So there's a star, but what if I don't want it, like, since I grabbed that center one, it's scaling on all axes. Maybe I just want the one axis. I could scale all of them in and then just grab the green one and push it back up. Now it's flat again. But I actually kind of like how that looks. It looks kind of nice. So there you go. There's a star. And I can go back into object mode, drag that in. There we go. I got a star shape. It's pretty nice. And I kind of found, like, that's just the general vibe of what you're doing with this, is you're just trying to think of what thing you would do in order to make the thing that you want happen. So like with this, if I just want it to be one side without, like right now it's double-sided, I just selected one of these edges and hit insert edge loop. That's going to make an edge loop all the way around the whole thing. And now I can go into face mode and just delete all these. Delete all these side faces here. And now I can delete all these ones as well. I should be able to. Yeah. Here we go. And then I will select all these. Doot, doot, doot. And where is fill hole? It's around here somewhere. There it is. Fill hole. Here we go.
All right.
Now I've got a star with one side. Yeah. I felt fancy when I came up with that. But that's kind of how I like. That's how I found the method of cutting the hole through like the object like this, where like I didn't really follow a tutorial. I just kind of like sat down with the tool, tried to figure out how the things work, and I just said, well, if I use the tool in this way, this way, and this way, I should be able to make this thing happen. And sure enough, there it is.
Yeah. The way I expect to end up using Probuilder the most is if I'm making an environment like a cave. I'm not going to use it to model all the walls and the ceiling and the surfaces or the stalactites, but I'll use it to create the container in which I will end up importing pre-built wall surfaces, stalactites, like a river, etc. Because if you try to just glue that stuff together, you end up with this almost unclimbable geometry that's an absolute mess. But creating a nice even ramp to get up between things and check out features, that's going to be a delight to use.
Let's say we did want to do that though. Let's say we wanted to make a cave.
Okay.
What I would do to make a cave is I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna leave all that doing its own thing over there, because I definitely think we can make a cave if we want. What I would do is I would make a new shape, and I would make this a sphere. And we're going to give this a whole bunch of subdivisions. Let's do that. 2 subdivisions is great. So I'm gonna start with a sphere. That's gonna be my cave. So I want to scale this up real big. There we go. Probably should have subdivided it some more, but we get the idea. So since this is going to be on the inside, I can have this and I can go to flip normals. Now it's an interior. And what I could do is, like, let's say if I have an idea for what the shape of my cave is going to be, I can just start shaping it right from here. So let's say let's make it like an igloo kind of a shape, right? So what I would do is I would select all the bottom vertices here. I'm going to go into vertice mode. Select all of these ones on the bottom. That should do, yeah, both sides of it. And I'm going to go to scaling and scale it down a bit. Like that, maybe. Yeah. This is kind of a you know. I'm just playing around with what I got here, but we get kind of a little bit of a igloo type of a shape. Oh, actually, you know what? Instead of doing that, what if I scaled only on the y-axis? Yeah. Like that. That's much better. So we have our cave, and then I want to put a cave entrance in. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to make another sphere. See, this is the kind of problem solving I really love doing with this. So, another sphere over here. Scale this up to be the cave entrance. Scale it out like that. Yeah, kind of like that. Oh, I need to flip the normals. Where's that? There it is. Okay. Select those maybe. Yeah, so that's kind of like an entrance to the cave we're coming in. And now what I'm going to do is select all of these ones. Oops. Oh, like that. That's not what I wanted. Okay, it doesn't want to work with me on that. Alright, I can just do it this way. There's probably a better method than this, but I'm just going to select all of these and delete the faces for the entrance. Backspace to do those. And then doot.
Is there a way to do an additive select? Because whenever I use Control or Shift, it inverts my selection on ones that were already selected.
I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
So I made a little cave thing. Here's a thingy here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine these two objects now so that I can work with them together. So we're going to do merge. There we go.
When you selected those faces, did you just delete them?
I just deleted them, yeah, because that's
Okay.
going to be my entrance. So I'm going to just kind of line these up. And we're just gonna go for it. This might not be the correct way to do this. I'm kind of thinking of this on the fly because I haven't needed to make a cave before. But I imagine this should work. Just kind of make all of these join together like that, and I'm gonna weld these vertices in a bit. But yeah. I'm pretty happy with this, honestly. Nah. Yeah, lots of tinkering, but my idea is that you would then go in here and start welding these. Ah, they're too far apart. Hold on. There we go. Now they're not welded. Oh, they're still too far apart. Okay. Oh, because I needed to change my angle. Bleh. There we go. Now they should be close enough to weld. There we go. So now that's one vertice there. And I would just do that all the way around and like stitch the whole thing together.
Did you select both objects and merge them in order to get access to both of their wireframes at the same time? Okay.
Yeah, so I merged those together. But yeah, I could totally see that. Like, you have an entrance here, you walk in, you come in and see, like, a big thing, and you could start deforming this. You could grab, grab a whole bunch of spots there and move it outward. Now you have, like, a little cove in that direction. Yeah, and then start populating it with stuff you find on the Unity asset store. Just make the whole thing gray. Yeah. I like it.
Okay, by the way, you were running into issues with distance on those. What is your weld distance currently set to?
Let's take a look.
Because I think I might have found a solution for you.
.01.
Yes, it is. Okay, so here, take a look at my screen real fast.
Yeah, I see you can change that number.
Or actually, you know what, just, switch it to 1 meter. And then select the 2 vertices and say weld. Now here's the thing. it's gonna look like a mess, but if you click off of it and switch away, like yes, it's actually
Yeah.
bound.
It updates it. Yeah, that we ran into that a little bit before where it was weird. Yeah, thank you. I didn't realize that was a number you could just change like that. That's awesome. That makes it a lot easier to do this sort of thing.
And it does look like then it just goes to the center of the two.
It does, yeah. It looks like it goes to the center. But it will still snap onto the grid.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually don't mind gluing these together. That's actually going pretty okay.
Yeah, and one thing to keep in mind, this will automatically generate mesh colliders at the moment. Everything that we're doing has a mesh collider. If we want to test this real quick, this is outside of Probuilder and just Unity stuff. I'm just going to create an empty object and call it settings. And create another empty object and call it spawn. Put spawn inside of settings. Okay, so under settings, I'm going to go to inspector, add component, type in descriptor. You should see VRC scene descriptor. I'm just going to throw that in. That's on the settings spot. And then for spawn, oh, this is a great shortcut to know, just in general. Control-Alt-F. That will bring whatever you have toward you. Or like center in front of the camera. That being lights, objects, whatever you have selected, Control-Alt-F, or Control-Shift-F. Sorry, Control-Shift-F brings that to your location. Yeah, so there's my spawn. Right there. You're going to spawn in the direction of the blue line there, by the way. Alright, so I have my descriptor, I have my spawn location. Let me go back to the descriptor. There's a section for spawns. And I'm just going to drag spawn into element 0. So this is now a playable level. Just by doing that. So I can just hit play. It's going to take a moment. There we go. I have a playable level. I've got my bench. Got my hole. I can jump down into the hole. Yeah. This could be uploaded to VR chat right now.
Cool.
Yeah. There's one other thing actually. Add component. I'm getting a little into the weeds here, but you do add component and you type in udon. And you select udon behavior, and then selecting that circle, you go in here and you hit settings. And you're just going to add VRC world settings. That's going to let you jump. Frustratingly, this isn't in by default. But yeah, that'll let you jump.
Can you set it up for external geometries? Like if you bring in a FBX file, can you then make it a geometry base for...
Oh, that's an excellent question. Yes, you can. Let me show you that thing. Let me find a geometry. I'll find a geometry. Give me a sec. I'll grab my... Oh no, I don't have that as a straight FBX file. Let me see. I'm looking for one of my avatars that I can throw in. They're all in Unity packages. Oh, here's one. Kobold female FBX. Yeah, this works. So I'm just pulling an FBX file in here. It's probably going to be pink. Or not. Okay, so there's my kobold. There she is. So if I wanted to play around with this in Probuilder, which probably wouldn't be a good idea because this is like a super high geometry thing, but just as an example, I can go over to the Probuilder tab, and there's a button for where is it? It's like a Probuilderize option. Or I have to have it selected. Oh yeah, I have to have it selected so it's orange, and then or it's not there. Okay, I was able to do this in the past. Where is it? I thought it was right here in the menu. I'm not seeing it on this. This might be too complex of an object. But I was able to do it with some benches that I got from the Unity Asset Store. And there should just be a Probuilderize option that shows up. Oh, there's the Probuilderize option. It wasn't selected before. Creates Probuilder modifiable object. I think it was too complicated. I'd have to find a simpler object. But yeah, anyway, it's right here, if you can see that. Probuilderize.
Mm-hmm.
So you can throw an object in and just hit that, and then you can edit it. It's going to generate a bit of a messy thing, but because it's automated and it's doing its best. I'm going to bring in Fuma's flight script into this. There we go. Cool. Let's see. Are there any other little things you guys might want to try to make in this? Like, any ideas? Maybe a light fixture or something? Do you want to, like... Because I can just kind of go through the process of how, like, my thought process on how I build this stuff. Let's do a light fixture.
Okay.
And make a cube.
Okay.
It's nice to start with a cube. So, I'm gonna make a what is that called? It's like a can light.
Like a fluorescent light fixture?
I'm thinking like the type that's on the ceiling and it points in a direction like a spotlight.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking one of those types of lights. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start with a cube and I'm going to subdivide it because we'll definitely need to have some a few shapes there. I think I'm gonna leave it just like this. So what I would do with this, if I wanted to make the thing, I would start out with, like, it would have a cone, right, on the front. So what I would do is I would go into vertice select. I would select these corners. Go to the scaling option and scale them down. Yeah, like that. So that's going to be the front of my cone. Then for the rest of these are all going to be scaled down. So I would go into face select all of these, and I will scale these down. Like that. So I've made like a cone shape on the front. But I want this to be a little bit more round, so I'm going to select these. I went into edge select. I'm going to just select these corners. And I'm going to scale those in and down like so. See that? So that looks pretty good. But now I need to get the part that goes up to the ceiling. So I'm going to go into face select mode, select all of these, drag those out a little bit. And now, so you have an idea here. I'm going to show you a thing that a new thing a little bit here. So I'm going to hold shift so that I create a cut there. Now I want this to go upward. So what I'm going to do with all of these selected, and the reason why I made a line there I think will be obvious in a moment, I'm going to go to rotation and rotate this like that. See that? And then go to scaling, scale it up so that it's about right. Do you see how I did that?
Yeah.
So now I'm going to go back into the movement mode, and I will hold shift. There we go. So I extended it there, but I'm also going to extend it up like that. Now I'm not holding shift to do that part. So there's that, and now I'm going to go back into rotation. And then scaling like that. Go back into movement, hold shift, and go right up. And I imagine that's where it's going to connect to the ceiling or whatever. Actually, you know what? Going to make it go up at that angle. There we go. And then I will go into vertices select. I'll select this one and just move that in. I'm not going to hold shift because I just want to make an indent like that. There we go. I'm pretty happy with that. And then to make it look more like a light, let's add some materials. We create material, and I will call this black. Create another material. I'll call this light. Cool. So under black, I'm going to go to inspector, albedo, or albedo, or whatever. Make it mostly black. And then under light, enable emission, pure white. There we go. So what I'm going to do now is just apply the black texture to the whole thing, and now select these inner parts here, going into face select mode, select those inner parts, and drag the light one onto that. There we go.
Yeah.
I have a light fixture. And now what I can do is go into object mode, select that. I would scale this down, most likely, because that's, you know, it's easier to model when it's big. But this would probably go, you know, somewhere in here. If I put something on the wall over there, I would put this over here like that and rotate it. There we go. Now I've got a light fixture.
Cool.
Yeah, and in Unity, of course, I would create a a spotlight, put it right there, make it shine out, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, so like I find that modeling from the cube tends to be the easiest way for me to go. But you might find that modeling from the cylinder for certain situations makes more sense, like in the case of our star. Where did that star go? Did I delete it? I think I deleted it. Oh well. But yeah, it's...
So I have a question for you. Going back to the Probuilder tab, I noticed there's a light map UVs option.
Yes.
Have you done anything with that?
So far, I've mostly kept it default. But yeah, you can hold on. Yeah, right now it's set to auto light map UVs. I haven't really played with that because the stuff that it generates on its own seems to work very well. So I haven't played with it. But yeah, actually, you know what? I'm going to put this down here. It's a little off kilter, but I think that adds to the aesthetic.
I love the fact that you've created a gallery that you can fall into and never escape from.
Exactly. So for this, what I might do is make it so it looks like it's generally in the right direction. And I'll just go ahead and do a quick thing here where I'll just make a thing with bakery. Spotlight. And this is where that shortcut I mentioned is really handy. So Control Shift F. That brings the spotlight exactly to where I am and how I'm looking. That looks pretty good. Cool. I'll just leave it all at defaults. And I can go to bakery. Come on. There we go. We're just going to render that. Oh, I haven't set the object to static. Oops. That's important. There we go. Okay. So, what do you guys think of like throwing out another idea there, like for us to kind of play around with and model something else?
I'm trying to think of something that's gonna like really make me have to think about another way to resolve it. So, like attaching the two cave areas together was a really good exercise in doing the vertice welding.
Yeah.
What are these other options here for like triangulate or conform normals? Like, have you used any of these options?
I haven't really had to play with those options, so I don't really know what they do yet. My knowledge on Probuilder is pretty much what I've needed to do so far. Here we go, check that out. It's got a little spotlight. It's a sad gallery in here. It's a very sad gallery. But yeah, anyway, yeah, so I haven't really needed to play around with that much so far, but the things that I needed to do was just like build my house, which was just like basic shapes that needed to be thrown together in some kind of logical way.
Gotcha.
This bench was fun to put together. Yeah, that was neat.
By the way, you said you had done photogrammetry to get a scan of the house, which you then built over with Probuilder?
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, the photogrammetry, what I did is I just brought the FBX in, I put it into the world, and then I set its opacity to 20%, and then just built around that. Why don't we try to make a doorway? That's a practical thing that needs to happen. So let's do that here. I've selected this edge over here. I'm going to make a doorway out of this. So the ground is going to stay the same level, but this will have to be moved down. Oh, that's a separate thing. What object? What part of this am I selecting? Hold on. Give me a sec. Ah, okay. I see. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that face, and I'm going to do subdivide face. There we go. Select those boys. Move it up. So I'm going to make that the height of the door. I'm going to make that the width of the door, like that. So I want to do that, right? Hold shift, bring that in. And this is that method I mentioned earlier where you can kind of see how this matches up right here. I'm going to subdivide this face. Where is it? Here it is. Oh, it's giving me problems on that one again. Why don't I try to figure this out? Okay, give me a sec. I'm going to try to figure this out because this is a problem that I need to learn. So I will run into this problem again. Oh, I see why it's causing that. It's because of this one. Aha! There we go. Look at my door. We're going to weld, and then we're going to weld. There we go. I got a door. Isn't that fun? So now you can escape my gallery. I don't know why you would want to, but
Awesome.
yeah. Hold on.
This might be a really good one to wrap up on too, because this is about
I think so.
almost exactly 2 hours in.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, and this was again, Otter. Thank you so much for running through all this with us and giving us the basic rundown of how to use this tool and to mess with the features, because it really is nice to be able to make this stuff in Unity and not have to worry about another third-party package. Obviously, like complexity wise, I could see it getting tricky because there aren't any like real hotkeys, but my god, will it be faster to throw stuff together when you have something like exactly like this, where you've got let's just make a simple room. Let's throw in some furniture. Let's get a gallery going. Because you showed how
Exactly.
fast you can really sling this together, and it's really fast.
It's really fast and super duper easy, which is the thing
the
that
part-
makes it just great.
I was gonna say the part that is really important that I don't think anybody has kind of really hit on yet. The fact that the UV mapping is getting done.
Yeah. Yeah, you can do this sort of stuff for like super easy.
Yes. For those who are using tools like Photoshop or Substance Painter to create materials and textures, it is agony to use like a Premiere product like SolidWorks or something to create this because it doesn't handle UV mapping. There's no reason for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's an engineering software package. So when you try to like create an object with high precision in SolidWorks or something like that, and then you bring it over to Unity, it's like the textures are all stretched to infinity because it doesn't do any kind of UV mapping.
Right.
This is doing it for you as it creates those surfaces. So that if I went into Substance Painter next and actually tried to map onto this, I'd be able to paint normally. It wouldn't be, a staggered mess.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's really cool. It's a lot of fun to use, and it's definitely not like, a replacement for any of those things. Like Blender obviously is going to give you a lot more options, a lot better hotkeys and things like that. But for me, I think that the magic of this one is the fact that you don't have to learn a shitload of hotkeys everywhere. You can just, use the buttons and get your basic stuff down. And, I was able to make, you guys saw my house. Like, I'm really proud of that. And I don't think anyone would look at that and say, oh, this looks like it was done with Probuilder. Because, it's just, you can get all the basic stuff down and it looks really good.
Oh, there's one last thing I did want to ask. When you merge objects together, like your bench, let's just say, for example, you put everything in there, will it automatically weld that geometry and redo the UV map?
So it won't weld the geometry. It's still like separate. Like it's one object. Oh, I'm in face select mode. It's one object, but anything you do with the UV mapping, it's going to be like this, where it just ties it all together.
Sorry, I didn't ask my question properly. If you merge your bench slats and your prop for it, does that actually weld the geometry together?
Oh, I don't know. Let's try. I'm going to merge that. Oh.
Oh.
It
exploded.
It exploded. Hold on. Oh, maybe it's because there's a parent and child. Hold on. That might have been it. Merge. Oh, there we go. All right.
Honestly, though, if you have anything that explodes, as long as there's a parent and child, then you should keep it away from the parent and child.
Yeah.
So it looks like it kept all the stuff as it was. I'm still able to edit all of this the same way it was before.
Are they? Is it actually touching though? Look at that one. I don't think it is. No, it's not.
Oh, that's just because I didn't do a good job with that. So now in order to do it...
No, it's okay. The one that is touching, is it actually connected now, or is it still separate? So the slat directly above yours right now, the one that was there during the merge. Yeah, just one up.
This one.
One more. Yeah, that one. Is that actually physically glued to the thing now? Like if you drag the geometry, does it drag the bench with it?
Yes. Yeah, it's all one object.
Can you grab one of the vertices where they are touching each other?
So if I go in... So in vertice mode or any of these, it's still going to work the same way it did before. I can still...
Okay. So it's not actually connected to the bench.
It's not like a union.
It's not a union.
Yeah, if you want that, yeah, you'd have to probably like subdivide this and then like
weld it
like that. It wouldn't be necessary. You can have geometry going through itself like that. That's fine.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if that's what was a consequence of merging, but it's not.
Yeah, all the faces still act like the faces. Like, even though this is intersecting right here, it's not actually,
Okay. Again, okay. Well, I'm sorry. I I almost went too long into another question. Otter, again, thank you so much for taking the time to go through this with us. Can you, real fast, just to close up, can you show us what you're going to make this weekend?
Oh, yeah, let me show you what I'm going to make. So the thing that I'm going to be working on is, if you've ever heard of Scribble Kibble, it's like an online TV show type thing about, like, talking about animation. And we're going to be doing an episode on the cleanup crew, talking about the process and how that all works and all that sort of stuff. What I'm going to do is I'm taking the 2D set that Crown Prince has created. You can see why I was looking into how to do a star. So I'm going to take this 2D set, which we have like a, thing here. And I'm going to turn this into a VR set. I'm probably going to put like benches out here as well and stuff. But when we do the actual episode of the show, we're going to be doing it in VR using the same method that we filmed the cleanup crew with. So I have tasked myself with creating the world, creating a world with this all in it. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, ignoring texturing and materials creation, how long do you think it would take for you to put this geometry together?
That's a good question, because the thing is, I have a feeling I'm going to run into some problems that I haven't before. Like, I'm noticing that these areas here are all curved.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure how exactly I'm going to handle that. There's also this area over here. This shouldn't be hard, but I've got this area with the panels and stuff. Yeah, there's the thing. I don't know, but I'm just gonna kind of hack away at it and figure it out.
Well, tell us in the end. Please tell us how long it does take, because you're getting pretty efficient with these tools, and I would not be surprised if it actually doesn't take that long.
Yeah, it's interesting with my house world. While learning the tools, I would be several steps into it and then realize, oh wait, there's an easier way to do that. Like what I mentioned with over here with like, how like back when we created the walls where I made the floor and then made the walls, what I saw everyone else doing, which was wrong, was that they would just make a new cube every time and just make a new cube and then wall, make a new cube, another wall. And it's like, well, no, you can subdivide this and extrude it out, and now it's one shape, and now you don't have lighting errors coming from it, and it's a lot more efficient. So, like, of course I would do it that way. So I would make discoveries along the way as I was working with it. So my house, the initial build of it took 1 week. But that's because I had to keep going back and redoing it, because I would go, oh, wait, there's a better way to do this part. I'm going to go do it that way instead. The actual, like, final build of the house took probably about 4 hours. But that was only after I became comfortable with the tools. So it was a week of learning it, and then 4 hours of doing it. and that's what created the house world. But, yeah, so I don't know. It's hard to say because the only full-scale project that I've done so far was just just my house. So now I'm starting with a new project for this. So we're going to kind of see where it leads me. Actually, I'm going to open this real quick.
Okay, so I personally have to pop out. Get some stuff
Yeah, I think we're going to finish up there, but yeah, I think y'all should be all set to go on that. I'm just going to be hanging out and just building this set here, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my Unity project crashed out, and I'm back at 0 now. It crashed again. Never mind. But what I was going to bring up is I did notice that there is a smoothing option, again, before my program crashed, in the Probuilder menu. that might help with curved surfaces, and I was kind of curious to see how it looked and what it did.
Where is that option? Because I've been wanting that.
I don't know. I'm assuming it's the Blender has a similar option, or it has an option called smoothing, and on its thing, I think it just renders things smooth, but I don't know. I haven't played with it. I tried to get to it in my project. I think is Foobar.
Oh wow!
Out.
I just tried the smoothing in the cave, and it made everything extra smooth.
Where's the smoothing option? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, so I don't know what it does because my project is no longer stable.
Oh.
Where was that?
I see.
Oh, it's so much smoother.
So much smoother. It's in the orange options. There's a thing for smoothing. And it just makes it so it has a smooth light map.
Yeah. Because Blender has something similar. They have a sharp and a smooth option, I believe. I don't know if sharp is the correct term for the second one, but it does have a smooth option. And what it does is it doesn't change the geometry, but it does change how the corners, vertices, and edges meld into each other.
Yeah. It changes how the light reacts to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know.
So that might help with some of your curved surfaces if you're doing a rough. But I wanted to see what it did in this because, like I said, mine crashed out.
Yeah. No, that's great. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, I will be using that a lot. Thank you. Does that just... Oh, hello.
Oh, neat. What was that?
That is a reflection probe.
I haven't played with those yet.
That's the thing where you set those up in the places. So this is how you simulate reflections in Unity. So if you have an avatar that has like a reflective face on it or whatever, it grabs this basically. So by moving around the world, it's going to change the reflection probe. So if you look really closely at it, you'll see that it actually snaps between reflection probes. But it's a very, very cheap way of making it look like you have ray tracing.
Oh.
Yeah. Useful to have. But, yeah, this is my trash world that I made. You see I put, like, slats on the walls.
Were you practicing the stars there? I thought I saw one. Yep.
Yep. I was
Hey,
the
otter
star.
in there.
Yep. You can see I made that can before.
Yep.
The can light. But, yeah, and textured
hey,
that.
now you can smooth it.
Made a little ladder. For the ladder, what I did with that is I made a cube there, and I extruded out, and then just hold shift, bring it up a little bit more, shift again, and just like keep doing that, and then I selected those sides and brought them out. That's how I did that. It's all about just playing with it and seeing what works. I made a ball pit. I'm proud of my little ball pit. This is just a cylinder that I made, and then I took the inside and brought it in a little bit, and then extruded downward. And then you can see I put a separate material on the bottom face of it. That's gray. Yeah.
Awesome.
Anyway, I think I'll stop the recording there, but